All right, folks, welcome back. Happy Wednesday. The mega media monster will never learn from their mistakes. You know, the legacy media, just like the first and the rest of the Democrats, time after time, they challenge Team Trump and get absolutely annihilated on their own networks. This time, it was Stephen Miller's turn. You know, he's the deputy chief of staff of the White House in charge of policy, which is the most powerful person outside of Donald Trump in the White House. Stephen Miller, and as usual, he didn't hold back when CNN tried to talk in circles about illegal aliens. It was a sight to behold.
You mentioned yesterday, and you mentioned again here, illegal immigrants who are getting child tax credits. Are you looking for that information in the IRS data?
Anytime a crime is committed, of course there should be an investigation. Is it your position that if somebody who is
Stephen,
here
are you looking for that information in the IRS data?
The federal government will find every illegal alien who is stealing American taxpayer dollars, and that is what Americans expect to happen.
Will you find that in the IRS data and share that with law enforcement? It's a simple question. Will you find that information in the IRS data and share that with law enforcement? If
IRS investigators find illegal aliens stealing taxpayer money, of course they'll be referred to ICE. Of course they'll be referred to Homeland Security investigations. Of course it will be. Surely your position is not that we should let illegal aliens steal taxpayer dollars. Again, you want to talk about something to be upset about, that's it. What do you think? The millions of illegal aliens who've also stolen Social Security. Illegal aliens in mass have fake Social Security numbers. They have fake identities. Those are felonies. Why should there be an entire class in this country that is immunized from criminal prosecution and arrest for committing felonies?
I just love it. Breonna Kyler at CNN had nowhere to go. No cognitive ability to react to Stephen Miller's very cogent argument that, hey, when illegals are stealing taxpayer dollars, where are you going to go? You're going to defend that? You're going to defend that, Breonna? And CNN, what moron thought it would be a good idea to put Stephen Miller, literally the brains behind so much of policy that Trump is so popular delivering, that's coming from Stephen Miller, put Breonna Kyler up against Stephen Miller. She can barely handle that Boris guy as her co-host in the afternoon. Unbelievable. That was just so much fun to watch. It went on for a long time. We got plenty more to discuss, so always, let's react. So good news here, folks. Donald Trump and his team have completely ignored all criticism as they continue to check boxes for the American people. Win, 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 win. Not tired of winning, right? Team MAGA uncovered massive Social Security fraud, which literally took them about 10 minutes of research to find. For anyone with a biased opinion of Team Trump's work, listen to the president run through just some of what they found so far.
100 to 209 years old. 879 people. From 210 years old, I haven't met any of them. And if I did, I would bless them. I would worship the ground they walk on. 210 to 219 years, 866. From 220 years old to 229 years old, 1,039. And then you have two people. From 240 years old to 249 years old, one person. And there's one person that's 360 years old. That's just that.
So this is aggravating enough that there are people, 200, 300 years old collecting checks. That means the heirs, the sons and the grandsons and daughters of those people are stealing the money. They're cashing those checks. They should go to jail. They shouldn't just be allowed to give the money back or just to walk free because we caught them. They should go to jail. It's theft. It's fraud. It's financial fraud against the American taxpayer. So I hope they take it to the next step, not just find the money, not just stop the waste, fraud, and abuse, but actually put people behind bars so they stop doing it. Be punitive in this. I hope so. I hope they're punitive. And they're talking about Social Security there. What about Medicare, Medicaid? Medicare and Medicaid fraud is rampant. Doctors all over the country are charging Medicare and Medicaid for sometimes procedures and things they have never done, or doubling, tripling the price of what they're charging Medicare and Medicaid to what the market price is. The waste, fraud, and abuse, the numbers can be staggering when we get to it. And then I'm not even talking about what happens when we get to the Department of Defense at I think it's up to $900 billion a year that we're spending. How do you spend $900 billion a year? How do you do it? You're not doing it on salaries. Wow, are they going to find some stuff? And it's so funny when these leftists say, oh, Elon Musk, he's not elected official. So what? He's saving you freaking tons of money, hundreds of billions of dollars likely when they're done with this. You nut jobs. Speaking of Elon Musk has been the source of constant attacks from angry loser Democrats as he helps Trump get rid of things the left loves. Musk was asked about his thoughts on the public reaction to his work and gave a pretty damn near perfect response.
What all we're really trying to do here is restore the will of the people through the president. And what we're finding is that there's an unelected bureaucracy. Speaking of unelected, there's a vast federal bureaucracy that is implacably opposed to the president and the cabinet. And you look at, say, DC voting, it's 92% Kamala. Okay, so we're 92% Kamala. That's a lot.
They don't like me here either.
I think about that number a lot. If the will of the president is not implemented, and the president is representative of the people, that means the will of the people is not being implemented. And that means we don't live in a democracy, we live in a bureaucracy. And so I think what we're seeing here is the thrashing of the bureaucracy as we try to restore democracy and the will of the people.
You know, I've been covering politics for a long time, and I think Elon Musk just nailed it. We live in a bureaucracy, not a democracy. And that's why the left hates what Elon is doing, because he's exposing their bureaucracy, because they can hide so much bullshit under it. They can steal, they can send money to people, friends of theirs will send money back to them in the form of campaign donations. It's incredible that the bureaucracy is just a cover. It's kind of like Zelensky in Ukraine being the cover for the slush fund that the Democrats want to send money over there and turn around and get money back. How in the freaking world do you think that we could have sent them $180 billion and Zelensky can only find $75 billion? What do you think that means? Because it's a cover-up. It's a bureaucracy. Democrats love bureaucracy. Republicans love democracy. People forget Elon Musk used to be beloved by Democrats. He hasn't forgotten and spoken about the toxicity coming from across the aisle simply because he and President Trump are keeping their campaign promises.
I would think liberals would love the fact that you have the biggest electric vehicle company in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be adored by the left, you know.
Yeah, not anymore.
Less so these days.
He killed that, huh?
I mean, less.
I really did it.
Well, I mean, this whole sort of like, you know, they call it like Trump derangement syndrome, and you don't realize how real this is until like you can't reason with people. So like I was at a friend's birthday party in LA, just a birthday dinner, and it was like a nice quiet dinner, and everyone was behaving normally. And I happened to mention, this is before the election, like a month or two before, I happened to mention the president's name, and it was like they got shot with a dart in the jugular that contained like methamphetamine and rabies.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you, fascinating interview, by the way. You know, Sean Hannity, it's a tough job because Sean's very close to Donald Trump, always has been. As someone who has interviewed Trump maybe 15 times, it's difficult. You want to ask tough questions, but you don't want to get to the point where it looks like you're ganging up on him. So I think Hannity did a nice job. And for me, the big takeaway was the relationship. You look at Trump and Musk, and people are saying, well, is Trump worried Musk is getting too big of a platform, the second president or the co-president? Trump genuinely likes this guy. You can see he looks over, he smiles. Trump likes almost like he's, I don't know, a son. I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, why not? I mean, sure, the most powerful man in the world and the richest man in the world getting together and save us some money, I'm all for it. All right, let's move on to something that it's probably going to tick off a lot of the people. The most recent plane crash that has travelers absolutely terrified to head to the airport. Happened the other day in Toronto. We talked about it. The flight landed way too hard, slammed, destroyed the landing gears, caused the plane to flip completely upside down. Of course, the Democrats try to blame Trump, which we got into yesterday. The airheads at The View and the losers over at NBC couldn't wait to pin the blame on Trump. Well, got some news for you, folks. The Delta flight in question was operated by Endeavor Air, which is proudly and openly operated by females only. I had no idea. We just found this out. And instead of giving a damn about the landing planes, these DEI darlings spend their shifts in the sky making TikTok videos. Here are a couple of them.
Girls, come on. Leave the saving the world to the men? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Live fast, die young, bad girls do it well. Live fast, die young.
No, we ain't giving no hold. I ain't Romeo and I'll hold. Making a party, chocolate Barbie, waiting on me for.
Cute video. Okay. All right. So you make TikTok videos. How about you learn how to land the plane? I'm not going to go there. It's a funny story. I got in trouble once. I was with Fox, and I was on the 5. It was during the Gulf War. And if you remember, it was all about Islamists and radical Muslims not wanting women, they really wanted women, they wanted them covered up in burqas and whatnot. Well, Jordan was on our side, and Jordan sent a female fighter pilot over Iraq to bomb, Saddam Hussein and some of the folks over there. And I said, would that be, when they land, would that be considered boobs on the ground? Gutfeld turns and said, yeah, when they land, she's probably going to have a hard time parking the plane. We got in so much trouble. The Pentagon called Fox and wanted Gutfeld and I either fired or punished for the comments because we risked the alliance. We risked the alliance by making a joke. That's my, so I'm not going to say anything about those female flight attendants and pilots landing the plane, but I will say they're more worried about DEI, perhaps, than landing those planes safely. All right, in 2021, Goya, our friends at Goya, love those folks. Goya launched Goya Cares, a global initiative to protect children and educate children on mental health. Goya Cares is providing schools and community centers with a preventative education curriculum and a free assembly that includes the viewing of the Goya Cares movie called Press Pause. Press Pause is intended to raise awareness regarding mental health issues, abuse, and bullying among children, teens, and in our communities. Press Pause is an educational film following 15-year-old Sofia Rodriguez as she navigates adolescence, self-doubt, and an abusive relationship amid her parents' turbulent divorce set within the cultural context of her Hispanic family. The film explores her discomfort with unwanted attention from her uncle and the pressures of maintaining a facade of perfection in high school. It introduces the Press Pause campaign, promoting kindness and advocacy, highlighted by Sophia leaving a note saying, "You matter," for a bullied peer. The film encourages open family communication about mental health and culminates in Sophia's transformative realization of her right to seek help through the power of empathy and small acts of kindness. Press Pause displays the importance of being proactive in supporting your community and underscores the critical importance of self-advocacy. Thank you, Goya. Goya Cares. All right, folks, time for today's Truth Bomb. All righty, Truth Bomb today. Truth Bomb, this is a good one. This one, I spent 15 years on Wall Street trading gold and oil. I know all about the gold and everything we've always heard about Fort Knox. It's housed our the American supply of gold, the biggest portion of our supply of gold. Well, Fort Knox is supposed to have about 147 million troy ounces of gold stored there. We used to use the dollar, we used to gold to back the dollar. So every dollar had a backing of gold in it, and we accumulated all that gold. Now, I tell you, we don't do that anymore. That's why we're allowed to run up deficits. However, it's supposed to be 147 million troy ounces. That comes to $475 billion, worth almost $500 billion. So the theory is now Elon Musk and Doge, they're auditing everything. Doge gets into Fort Knox. Can you imagine? We haven't been into Fort Knox in maybe 50 years to find out what the real amount and number of ounces of gold, because a lot of people believe, I believe, that at some point in time, after we went off the gold standard for the dollar 50 years ago, that governments I'm not saying local, I'm saying the federal governments may have been using that gold to finance wars, to finance some of their bullshit spending. I believe they're going to find a lot less than 147 million ounces of gold in Fort Knox. It would be cool to do a live video walkthrough of Fort Knox, wouldn't it, Elon? And I certainly would love to do it with you, Mr. Musk. Who's confirming that the gold wasn't stolen from Fort Knox? Maybe it's there, maybe it's not. That gold is owned by the American public. We want to know if it's still there, says Elon. You're damn right we do, Elon Musk. We freaking want to know if it's there, how much of it's there. Look at how beautiful gold is. Gold is just incredible. And when you hold it, you can feel the value of gold. I still have my first gold coin that I bought 30 years ago. I brought my first gold coin, my first hit on Fox News in 2007. I held up a gold coin. I said, never sell this. Ducey said, what's it worth? I said, $600. Never sell it. You know what it is today? Never sold them. I accumulate them. I just buy them and hold them if I have a few extra bucks. $2,950 today for gold. A $600 ounce, what is it, 15 years ago, 20 years ago? $2,000, it's beating every asset class you could possibly think of, with the exception of maybe Bitcoin, but that's too early to tell. All right, take a look at this right here. It's shocking. Just months ago, in October, by the way, this woman, her X handle is that blonde girl. Well, she's bragging about being in her jammies all day. And get this, folks, on our taxpayer dime, by the way. Didn't have any meeting today, but now I have a meeting, so putting on a hoodie, she says, and she's tweeting this or Xing this. Can you imagine? She's a federal employee working from home. Didn't have a meeting, so have one now. I'm going to throw on a hoodie. John Fetterman will be so proud of her. Sitting there bragging about having nothing to do all day while she's collecting a federal paycheck. We're paying her salary. And then months later, now, whining about being terminated from her, quote, dream job. I'll bet it's a dream to collect our money while sitting on her ass doing nothing. And she worked for the Children's Bureau, no less. Imagine having what seems like it should be a very important job and a role having to do with this country's children and bragging about doing nothing, having nothing to do, and then whining about being let go from her job thanks to the hard work of Doge. So now she's unemployed for the first time since she was 15 years old. Wah, wah, wah. Too bad. And then says, I hope you're fucking cheap. You get your fucking cheap eggs. What does that even mean? Well, I do too, Margaret. But I don't know, maybe we call her Margaret instead of Karen. She become the new Karen and Margaret Brennan, that is. But anyway, this is what we're dealing, folks. We either have useless a-holes collecting paychecks and are devastated that they've been exposed, or we have the left who hates President Trump so much that they don't care that the American taxpayers have been ripped off forever. So long isn't Trump who, relieves the American people of the outright corruption going on for decades. What a sad state of affairs it is, and especially on the left. Let's get into it. Remember when we were told that moments like this from Joe Biden were signs of normal aging for an 80-year-old?
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
She knows so long as she was 9.
In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been.
President Biden has a photographic memory. His understanding and mastery of a complicated geopolitical situation, remarkable.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
I was sitting, 2 feet from him across the table, and he was, intense.
Have trouble walking sometimes? Yeah, so did FDR.
You don't hate them enough. Filthy freaking liars. Every single one of them. Yeah, you, Joe Scarborough. Yeah, you, Goldman, Congressman. And yeah, you, Anderson Cooper. Freaking liars. FDR was paralyzed from the waist down and relied on a wheelchair because of childhood polio, guys. Also intensely probing. I really, really, really don't want to know what the hell that even means. But We were told that all that was normal again and again. We were told that rising crime was a figment of our imagination and that chaos at the border was fabricated by us, by MAGA Republicans. They said that Trump called neo-Nazis fine people.
You had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists.
They always leave out that part, the context. They always leave out, and then you have white nationalists in that group that should be condemned completely. He said it, but again, they forgot that one too. The media lied about that over and over and over again, taking it out of context, even though it was right there, living in the internet in perpetuity in all its entirety for all to hear. And Joe Biden lied about it to the last day of his presidency. Barack Obama lied about that back and forth, that to the last day of his presidential election campaign season in a speech. And Kamala Harris lied about it throughout her BS pathetic campaign too. We have to remind ourselves of the repeated crimes of the past several years. Russian collusion hoax. Kamala Harris was never the border czar. Lie. If you get vaccinated, you won't catch COVID. Not true. COVID lab leak was a conspiracy theory. It was not. Ask the FBI now. The Steele dossier, another hoax. Another hoax, by the way, because Hillary Clinton got together with John McCain and paid for the Steele dossier to come up with stuff that was a lie about Trump. Mostly peaceful protests while the streets were on fire. You see, even if the truth is right in front of you, right there, right in front of your own eyes, this media, this legacy media, this bullshit legacy media will tell you to believe something completely different because Donald Trump, that's why. Don't believe the fire there, the building's on fire. Don't believe when Ali Velshi gets shot with a rubber bullet in the leg and calls it a mostly peaceful protest. But what's worse is this, that they were once upon a time supposed to represent and defend us, we the people, especially in the face of corruption and a government and bureaucracy. They, the media, and the leftist machine they so willingly represent now should be working hand in hand with Elon Musk, a figure they once revered for his brilliance, by the way. Every time Musk and Doge peel away the curtain, the media should celebrate that, right? They should convey it to the American people and celebrate with us all. After all, the members of the media are part of the affected class, are they not? Do the members of the so-called legacy media not pay taxes like you and I? Do they not care about the fact that Karen or Margaret just sits on the couch collecting a paycheck for a government job having to do with this country's children in her underwear and is pissed when she gets fired? How is that not pissing the left off? It pisses us off. How is this fact not pissing them off?
We have contracts that go forever, and they've been going for years, and they're supposed to end in 3 months or 5 months or 2 years or something, and they go forever. So the guy is either crooked, you know, where he knew this was going to happen, or he's crooked because he's getting payments that he knows he shouldn't be getting. But they're finding things like that. They're finding things far worse than that.
Finding things far worse than that. Why the F isn't that being celebrated? Is Trump derangement syndrome that much more important than Americans being ripped off, left and right, stolen, stealing our money? By the way, how is this fact not pissing them off?
100 to 209 years old, 879 people. From 210 years old, I haven't met any of them. And if I did, I would bless them. I would worship the ground they walk on. 210 to 219 years, 866.
He's saying that 866 people aged between 200 and 219 years old are collecting Social Security checks. Aren't they pissed on the left about that? While they cry and spout lies about how Republicans are going to do away with Social Security, thousands of dead people are collecting Social Security and they don't give a damn because Trump is the one uncovering the truth. Former Democrat and CEO of Commentator nails it right here.
Why is it that we do not know where every penny of our money goes? Like, how do you explain that to people? And by the way, slightly more technically, what large language models do is they mean you can go into the contracts and see exactly what happened. So in the past, we couldn't do this. Now we can. The right response is, we want this to happen. We want to happen. We want to be involved in the dialogue. The real response is, it feels like the people criticizing Elon don't want it to happen. And this is going to destroy those people.
That's it right there. They don't want Trump and Elon to be successful at the cost of not uncovering all the bullshit, waste, fraudulent spending that they've been doing at our expense. It is the most insane act on the left. You fools are digging your own grave. That's why you lost, and that's why you continue to lose. But it doesn't matter how much Elon Musk and Doge find. It's right in front of their faces, in front of all of our faces, and they still pretend it's not a real thing.
Elon Musk is just making this stuff up as he goes along, right? And it's a little, someone was comparing it to search for WMDs in Iraq, right? He's constantly looking for stuff and then declaring he's found something, and it turns out he didn't find what he's declaring he's found, right?
The Social Security example is claimed that millions of people who are 150 years old, which was a misreading of the data, which, by the way, in the current disinformation environment that we occupy, is repeated as fact, not just by him, but as the president, going back to like the Gaza condoms example.
So Jonah Goldberg there was a Republican, allegedly. He's the biggest fucking rhino I've ever met in my entire life. Used to be on Fox. Hopefully Fox bounced that asshole. Hates Trump, one of the worst, most severe cases of Trump derangement syndrome I've ever seen, besides that guy Bill Kristol, who also hates Trump, also used to be a Republican. Those are all rhinos. Those are all bushies. Get rid of them. Their time is done. You guys are useless. You're wasting our air. Stop speaking and get off the freaking TV. Just making this stuff up, says Jonah Goldberg. Like every fucking thing CNN made up about President Trump for the last 10 years, like that. You know what? Let's put the legacy media to the test, shall we? President Trump made good on an important campaign promise, something every single member of the legacy media and the leftist machine should celebrate because it's good for the American people. Another Trump promise made.
Under the Trump administration, we are going to be paying for that treatment. So we are paying for that treatment.
All Americans who want it?
All Americans that get it, all Americans that need it. So we're going to be paying for that treatment, or we're going to be mandating that the insurance company pay.
Hey, guess what? Another promise kept. Look at that. Caroline Leavitt says President Trump just signed an order to expand access to IVF. I can't wait, folks, to hear from the Democrat a-holes on every legacy outlet claiming over and over again that Trump would ban IVF. Remember those folks? But you won't hear that. You won't see it. You won't see them celebrate that amazing stride forward for America and for the American people. Instead, you see crap like this. ABC asks about Doge. Who's in charge? Let me ask you something. What in the actual fuck, pardon my language, we had an incapacitated president who vacationed for more than 40% of his presidency while he wasn't slurping chocolate chip ice cream in between his daily nap schedule and fell asleep at half of the events he attended. He'd fall over, he'd call out dead people. Did ABC once ask who's in charge then? No, they didn't. No, in fact, they defended the geriatric in chief, just like their commie news cohorts did across the board. Hey, ABC, the answer to your question, who is in charge, is this. It's the American people now. For the first time in a very freaking long time. What Elon Musk is doing is what President Trump is asking him to do. And why is he asking him to do that? To look into how the American people are being ripped off, because we asked Trump to do that. We elected him to do that. That's why, because he knows that he represents the American people and we're clearly being ripped off, and it's going to stop. Representing American people, something the media has totally forgotten about, and the shitty, corrupt politicians they so gladly represent have very clearly forgotten that too. All right, folks, we like to calm it down a little at the end, but I have a question to ask. What in the fresh hell is this?
They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy. They, them, energy.
Hey, Control Room, MD and Ben and Drew and such. Can you play that again?
They, them, energy. 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 They, them, energy.
You get the little, you can get that little shimmy at the end there, at the end. Holy crap. Anyone else pumped up for some of that they, them energy? Sounds a lot like the start of Kamala Harris's rally. I hope they, them didn't get Beyonce money for that kind of hype. Actually, President Trump has something to say about it.
We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy.
We sure do, Mr. President. We sure do. We need them for funny videos like that.